Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Deeply Rooted Business Podcast. My name's Jess. If you're new around here, I am your operational expert side of things. And I'm here with Rachel. I love your glasses today. Our marketing mastermind. Today, we're going to be talking about another one of my favorite things. I feel like we've been talking about all my favorite things lately, and that is tech tools. As an operational person, I love me some tech tools. I actually have to be quite careful with not bringing on to be conscious about keeping my tech stack slim because I like to try out a lot of tech tools. So I have to do pretty much a quarterly audit, like kind of look through all of the subscriptions that I'm paying for and making sure that I'm still actively using these. But today we're really going to be sharing our top 5 ride or die tools, ones that have really transformed our business, ones that I don't see myself canceling in the near future ever. And I think it's really important to talk about these things because if you don't have the right tech tools in place, that's where you can get into just some inefficiencies with your team, communication breakdowns. And a lot of these tools, the reason why I love them is because they help me work smarter, not harder, and really help me get my job done in a more efficient manner.
Yeah, and I want to add a little disclaimer because we have talked about this in the past about people who share their tech stacks and then it kind of ripples into a little bit of pressure for the business owner who maybe doesn't have an established tech stack to go a little crazy and say, "Oh, this person said it and so then should have to do this," or blah blah blah. That is not our intention with this. Our intention is literally because we have existed with these tools for X amount of time. There's not any shiny object syndrome here that's connected to a launch or an affiliate strategy or anything like that. This is purely the tools we love and that actively exist in our businesses and sharing them just to give visibility because I think everybody likes to have a little behind the scenes in how people run their business. So I wanted to put that caveat out there because we have said that as an ick in the past.
Yeah, no, and I think it's great. I mean, I always say it's not really the tool, it's the system that you're putting the tool into. And so you might have similar tools that can do the same thing. We are just talking about these things because as service providers, we've worked behind the scenes and we've worked in a lot of different tools and been able to evaluate different tools, lots of different tools. And these are our favorites that we work with. But still, even when I bring new clients on, I'm really hesitant about changing them. Like if they're in Asana to Notion, even though that's I can zip around Notion and Asana feels a little more clunky for me, even though I don't enjoy it much. It usually takes me 2 months to evaluate if it's going to be worth the ROI to have them move over. And that's really based on how much they have established in that program already. And I'm sure it's the same when you're looking at people's email.
Right off the bat that I'm like, we're gonna move out of this.
Oh, no. We do not like float.
We do not. I don't care how many new features they get until they improve their analytics and their segmentation. Okay, never mind. I can't go down that rabbit hole. All right, let's talk about the first one. Before we name it, I want to kind of say the first one is really the brain, I would say, that external brain. So, like Jess had said, from a project management standpoint, you may exist in another platform already. And so, if your current platform is not doing its job, it's still chaos in there. The reason why we both love Notion so much, so Notion is our first tool that's completely changed our business, is because it acts as this external brain and really does have so many project management capabilities. I know Jess is going to have so much to say about Notion because she's the Notion lady. But coming from someone who is not in the project management mindset, it really did elevate my business to a place where I was in ClickUp before, and ClickUp was great. Thought it was fine, did a lot of the things, but from a visibility perspective of how we've built this dashboard in our new, or I say ours, because Jess is always in there tweaking mine. But inside of the new Notion dashboard on my side, it really is just when I say changed my business, I literally mean changed my business. So that's all I have to say about that.
And I think Notion gets a bad rap because it is so customizable, but that's also the great thing that it is so customizable. So if you don't have a systems brain, it can be hard to get in there at first because you can literally start with a blank slate. But I think one of the strengths of Notion is its adaptability. A lot of times people are using ClickUp. You can't change it into a page or a calendar as easy as Notion. It's just like whipping it. Notion has the ability to, when I first get into a lot of clients' business, they've kind of Frankenstein their back end brain. Like they've got stuff in Google Docs, they've got stuff maybe in Airtable, they've got stuff in Evernote, they've got stuff in their project management system. And what Notion can really do, because it is so customizable, is it can take all of those apps and eliminate them completely so that your entire brain truly is running off of one system and you're able to kind of zip around a lot closer, because you can mention pages in there. You're not having to go look at the link and open up a new tab. It's like everything can really be right at your fingertips, and the ability to pull in your different databases to separate pages and look at it in different ways and like build dashboards that you can look at. Like I'm sure the daily dashboard that I've built in Notion is like, it's literally got everything to run your business just on that one page. You don't have to like click around to anything. So I think that's where it's so powerful. And I think that my clients sometimes when they have like trouble embracing it, it's because they're still trying to hold on to like their Google Docs or their Evernote. I'm like, no, the point is to get rid of all of that and get it in your brain. And like even Apple Notes, I'm like, no, put a widget on your phone for your notes. You want Notion to be your entire business brain, because I think a lot of the overwhelm, that's the overwhelm that we deal with as entrepreneurs, is literally trying to keep everything in your brain. So if you're able to download it all and know that it's in a safe spot, that it's searchable, you can read it easily, it truly does just allow you to turn your brain off for a minute. And I think another reason people decide like, oh, I'm not organized enough to use a project management tool. I'm like, oh no, I use a project management tool because I'm not organized. This is like my safety net. If I forget something, I just need to log into Notion and be like, oh, I completely forgot about that task that I was supposed to do this day. Or what was that content idea I thought about like when I was walking my dog the other day and like quickly wrote it down. Like those are the things that I'm like going into Notion for, using it every day.
Yeah. And just as a reminder, something Jess said earlier, but she kind of like just like low key said it. A tool is not a system. Just putting that out there. So even if you just get a project management tool, that is not a system at all in your business. So just throwing that out there to kind of like highlight that moment of genius for Jess, because it is so true. Like you can exist in a space like ClickUp or where Asana or whatever, and it just still won't work because you don't have a system built to support it. So,
Yeah, when your
but
tool every day. And a lot of times my clients, when they first come to me, I'm like, oh, I have a project management system. And it's like, they haven't looked at it in months. And I'm like, no, then you don't have a project management system. You have this tool that you're paying for. All right. So let's move on, because we knew that I could talk about Notion forever. We'll go to another one of our faves, which is Zapier.
yeah, I love this because I think when you aren't in that like streamlined, everything's in the one place kind of thing, connectivity is really like your best friend. And so when you can connect specific apps, whether it's your checkout to your email platform, or if it's your Google form to wherever, like whatever that looks like, having that connectivity, like Zapier has really just like made it so simple. And yeah, sometimes it's complicated that you have to pay for a second or third string or whatever, but I've gotten pretty successful by just using the free version. And I think that that's one of those things where when you have access to free versions like this, and that you can kind of just plug in the necessary tools and like clean up the client experience, like that's what I personally use it for. Or if I refuse to acknowledge a system, like to me, I will brain dump day and night in Slack, but I will not put them in my Notion. I've created a Slack Zap that goes from Slack to Notion to kind of create that bridge, because it's something that I just refuse to do. So it really is there to just encourage good habits and improve customer experience. And just, I don't know how often you use Zapier, but what has your experience been with it in your business?
So I use Zapier, and there's another one that I use, Make, is a lot. I'll say like the basic connects, where you're just connecting one app to the other. But what I've really been enjoying exploring recently is like how to get the more advanced Zaps that are like no code automation. So I actually set one up for one of my clients last week, and it was after she gets off a discovery call, she can go into her Notion database and she plugs in a little bit of information and then changes it to send follow-up email. And I've got a Zap now that will send a Gmail and populate the personalized information into an email that I already have for her. So that sounds pretty great. So you're sending personalized follow-up emails, but then I have it wait a couple of days. And if the person doesn't respond or purchase, it sends another follow-up email that's personalized. Waits another couple of days. If no one's purchased, sends another follow-up one. Those are like the things that get me super excited is when I can I was doing the math. I'm like, well, she would have paid a VA to do this. And it's probably 3 hours of work. And if she's doing 20 discovery calls a week, then that's like thousands of dollars a month that this like one tiny little automation has saved you. So I think connecting the basic stuff is great, but I'm really getting excited about learning. I'm getting Make certified, which is like Zapier's like friend. And I go back and forth with both because it's like what can integrate with what. So I really do use both because a lot of my clients are practice better and like Zapier only does practice better. And I love that. I've also got one actually for this podcast that when our VA will put our podcast after she edits it, she puts it in a Google Drive and Make is actually watching that Google Drive folder. When they see it, it sends the video to get transcribed and then sends the transcription to ChatGPT. And then ChatGPT writes our title, our thumbnail, our show note, and our short description and gives us hashtags. And that all happens automatically. And yes, I could have like my VA copy and paste it into ChatGPT, like and do the different prompts, but this is automatically all of that information gets populated into our Notion like YouTube board for the podcast when that moves over. So I've been very much experimenting, like how can I push this to the limit and just getting really, really curious. And I think that's important with both automations and AI is like, if you're doing it repeatedly, can you figure out a way to like automate it or do it for you? So
Wow. Right. Live inside of Jess's brain. I would dream. It's a dream. Okay. The next tool is AI tools. And I think Jess, again, has just taken what normal people utilize like Chat GPT for and has just elevated and like taken it to a whole nother level. Jess, talk to us a little bit about how AI changed your business.
basically, I think it's helped me from not having I do have some assistants that work with me in the business, but basically with Chat GPT and Marketing Magic, which is basically Chat GPT with like preloaded prompts from like a marketing genius service provider. She like basically built this app that has all of her prompts that she would give AI into it. And you can input stuff about your business and it can bring your own brand and voice. But basically what that's allowed me to do is provide kind of another layer of service for my clients where I wasn't offering like copy before. And I still wouldn't say I like offer copywriting. I get tell them starter copy. Like I'm going to get you started with this information from like, AI. So that's one way I use it to write sales pages, email campaigns, and it does it so quick. Like it could be stuff that Rachel just said she had to write 30 emails for a launch we're working on together. At least getting these like the clay on the table is what I like to call it. Like that helps you kind of get over that initial, like, how do I get started? Especially when you have like with Rachel has like, she has an outline what emails need to get sent when, just creating these custom GPTs with the client's information, the information about their product, but then also your strategy is when it becomes super, super powerful because you're basically training your marketing assistant.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't use it at all to the level that Jess does, but it always is that like you creatively like can't always be on. And as a copywriter too myself, that is something that even if I just want a prompt or like a starting point of some sort, it has been so helpful. I tend to be someone who I write how I talk. And sometimes that's very like scattered in the sense of flow. And so sometimes I'll put it in there and have it be my like second set of eyes and be like, does this make sense? Or how can I make this clearer kind of thing? And there's just so many tools you can use to support in that sense. But also like, even if I'm not ready to hire like a social media manager, like letting ChatGPT, letting the robots do something to kind of get me started and build certain practices and habits until I am ready to hire that in my business is, I think, one of the most impactful things. I don't recommend that for like everything because, of course, like it's not foolproof. Like you can't say, build me a systems, blah, 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 and then it knows what to do. I mean, it will give you a starting point, like Jess said, but I do think there are certain like limits to it. But yeah, I mean, it is I'm obsessed with it. It really has helped. I finally upgraded to the paid version because I was like, I have to. Oh, let me just nerd out about this. One of the things that I have been doing is uploading survey results to it and allowing, because you can upload like an X like CSV and allowing it to be the analytical side of things too. Is like, what are the cadence? Like, what are the tone of the open text response? What are the key themes? And that saves me so much time from having to sit there and like manually scrub it. It's amazing. I have 3 more surveys to do, and I'm like, I'm totally obsessed with this.
One of my favorite ones, and it's so easy too, it doesn't have to be like complicated, is I have been uploading emails that I need to like schedule for clients in there. It'd been like change the formatting, not the copy, to make this scannable for the reader. And then we'll go through and like make it bold and bullet point and do all of these things that like really just brings my level of service to the next level. And I literally could probably give a whole hour presentation about what I've used ChatGPT for and what I use it for regularly. But you can create custom GPTs. I have an SOP creator that I've trained on how to write SOPs based on transcripts. So I'll share that link actually, because with ChatGPT now you can create your own custom GPTs and put them on the marketplace, and then people use them. You get paid as the creator of that GPT. So I have 2 that I've created. One is a SOP creator, and one is a script creator for my YouTube. So I'll link those down below if you want to check them out. But basically, these are like preloaded with strategy already and like how to do what a specific task that you needed to do, where the regular ChatGPT is kind of just like learning what you tell it. You can upload whole entire PDFs.
Amazing. One of the many questions I get from everyone is, which email platform do I recommend? And while I always have a very standard answer on that, which is depends on your business goals and blah, 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 people then say, well, what do you use? I and majority of my clients use ActiveCampaign because I think it is one of those, like the way that people rave about Klaviyo for e-commerce, ActiveCampaign kind of fits into the bucket of both e-com and service provider. And so it really does allow so much functionability. Is that even a word? So much function. I'm pretty obsessed with like just certain things that you can change. So like when I always say like, oh, Flowdesk can't give you a better customer journey experience with your email list, but ActiveCampaign can retarget based off of browse data. Like they can say, this contact visited this sales page 3 times. Let's tag them as a prospect for that product in your offer suite and then retarget them with maybe an email about that course and all of that. So it's like the customer journey aspect of like really tying automation in along with the buyer behavior, your subscriber behavior is just beyond what I see in other platforms. And so I'm like, you're going to outgrow in a lot of single kind of use platforms like a ConvertKit or a MailerLite or anything like that. Like you can really kind of max yourself out on a strategy, but in an ActiveCampaign, you really do have everything from the get-go. So it's always my favorite platform to recommend. And I know Jess has a different platform that shows.
So I use Kajabi, but basically because most of the clients I serve are course creators or content creators that have courses as like one arm of their business or subject matter experts. And really, it's not for the while Kajabi has automations, they're definitely not as robust as what you can do in ActiveCampaign. But I think a lot of the clients that are at the level that I'm serving and how courses play into their business might not need. I mean, I'm sure they could benefit from advanced automations, but the benefit of Kajabi is that it's an all-in-one platform. So it can host your website, it can host your checkout page, it can host your email lists, it can host your courses, your memberships, it can even host your podcast now. So if you're really looking to create a lean tech stack, which is what I love, that's why I love Notion, because it combines a bunch of different things into one platform to keep things simple. Another reason why I love Kajabi is because it can do so many of the things and you're not having to like use Zapier, because anytime you like put in another tool, it might break. So kind of level of anxiety. So I think for ease of use and just getting started, and my clients that are using Kajabi are under the like $1 million mark or under even most of them are under like that 500K mark, where I find like Kajabi is sufficient for that. But Rachel's teaching me ActiveCampaign. I'm going to be helping Rachel out with some ActiveCampaign stuff. So I might change my tune here in a little bit once I see all
I'll convert her. All right. And then our last one is Slack. So, our communication tool, which I am so surprised that so many people don't use Slack in the online space. I hear a lot of people using Voxer, which just drives me wild because if I had to be on my phone listening to voice notes and texting and doing that, I'm sure they have an app, hopefully on desktop, but it has like I have all my workspaces in one place. I can visually see it. I can connect it to my calendar so my clients know when I'm out. They know when I'm in a meeting, so I'm not typically going to respond and all of these things. Like there's so much that goes into a customer experience that communication weighs heavily on. And I just don't know how other people do it outside of Slack. Like it's just, I don't know.
I still have one client who is not on Slack who has my phone number. He was my first client. And I can tell you because I have my Slack set up to like integrate with my Notion too. So if someone sends me a message in Slack, I can tag it to send to my Notion as a to do list so nothing gets lost. I built the system around it. So it's really hard for me when I have a client that comes on and they want to use, I don't think anybody wants to use emails because everything gets buried. But if they want to use something else, like I really push for them to get on Slack. One, it helps you establish boundaries because, like you said, your calendar's on there. You can turn it off when you're away so that you're not getting pings and notification, unlike your text messages that you're getting. You can connect it to your Google Drive and your Notion and all of that to allow for like a seamless experience. So yeah, now basically every client that I like work with, I'm like, you don't have to create your own Slack, but if you want to talk to me, we need to have a party in Slack.
Oh, party. Okay, so that was our 5 tools that literally run our business and have kind of elevated how I exist inside of my business. A little bit of a recap. So, project management is Notion, our external brain. Our connectivity is Zapier. And then what did you say? Make?
Yeah, make.
Make. And then our AI kind of like starter tools are ChatGPT and then Marketing Magic, which we'll link in the show notes in case people want to kind of just click around in there. ActiveCampaign or Kajabi, and then Slack. So those are kind of the tools that literally run our business. I hope that if you found any of these tools helpful, or if you have questions about like how much we use these tools or want to know a little bit more about like one of them, feel free to send us a DM. We absolutely, obviously love talking about these things. And then be sure to just share this with your business best. We'll be talking about how to ramp up a successful launch in the next episode. And if you have questions about that, drop it in the DMs because we are in full launch mode right now as we support a new client. Obviously, Jess mentioned I am writing 30 plus emails. So we are in full launch mode. So it's something we just thought we want to like get that out because I know everybody's prepping for a Q3 launch right now. At least that's how it's seeming. So
We're rooting for you.